This exercise is going to help you learn how to gain a little bit more range of motion in spine extension, and then also build more awareness of the muscles that provide you the stability in this movement, and also build strength in this movement as well, to build resiliency in it so you can progress further, make sure you own the range of motion, make sure it translates into active flexibility and mobility that you can use in your daily life. So the setup for this position is going to be starting on your stomach. Then from there, we can press up into our spine extension movement. Now, there's a couple of notes for you here to find this passive stretch. If this is new, you might not push a ton into the stretch. We want to start low intensity. That is number one. Number two, you should feel some stretching in the front side here. We should not be feeling too much compression or anything that is a ton of pinching in your back, anywhere along your spine. You might feel some stretching of the tissues in the joints, but it should not feel like they are really compressive in one specific area or very pinchy. That is something, or painful. That is something we want to avoid. Now, the more you press, the more you're going to push into the areas that you might already have good mobility or better flexibility. So you can target what tissues are going to be stretched by being a little bit more intentional with your setup here. So you can only do more of your upper back by coming down lower and pressing up and pressing your belly down into the ground. So if I press my belly down and I keep it there, and I lift up by pushing in through my hands, now I can feel this in more of my upper back and less in my low back. If my goal is just to get as much range of motion as I can, then I'm gonna push up into a position where I can feel it more globally across my entire spine. And then of course, my full range of motion would be here, but my hips are off the ground. Now I'm loading more of my hip extension, which might be fine if that is what you're trying to do. But again, you can decide what position you want to start with and where you want to direct the line of tension. Then from there, you're gonna hold the stretch passively if that is part of your program and your intention that day. So we're gonna hold the stretch for the prescribed amount of time, anywhere from that 30-second mark up to 2 minutes. Then from there, this is the position I wanna be in, we can do our PAILs and rails. Now, PAILs is going to be contracting what's being stretched, so it's gonna be the front side of your torso. Rails is going to be the stuff that is gonna pull you into a deeper stretch, which would be the back side of your entire torso. So in this position, you're gonna think about trying to pull your, whatever is on the ground, pull it into the ground like you're trying to drag the earth forward towards you. So for here, that's gonna look like this. And you're gonna think about trying to almost round all of your spine that is touching the ground. So you're trying to think about rounding it, but it's not gonna happen. You're gonna ramp that intensity up to the desired amount, maybe 40 to 50%, maybe a max effort. You're gonna hold that for 10 to 15 seconds or the prescribed amount and ramp back down. Rails is now going to be actively thinking about lifting into more of a deep position. So that's gonna be all of the muscles on each side of your spine actively pulling you up higher into that position. Now, if you just think about trying to arch up, you're again gonna use all of the muscles and all of the segments you're already good at owning or contracting. If you start slow and you're a little bit more intentional about where you want to direct the line of tissue or the forces and loads that you are contracting, then you can have a little bit more of an intentional, purposeful training session. So we want to start light and think about just lifting through the area that is being stretched or the ones that we're targeting. So if I go really intense, I'm going to feel it in my low back. But if I don't and I keep the part that is on the ground glued to the ground and I try to lift everything else around it, now I can feel a lot more of my spine. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is not just lifting up, but staying long. So thinking about the front side, not just coming up this way, but pushing forwards and up, like we're pushing the earth forwards and up with our chest, not the earth necessarily, but maybe the air right in front of us. So that way we are getting a little bit more of a decompression through our spine and a little bit less compression into the back part so we don't feel too much local, really specific compression in one joint, and we're kind of getting more of the active mobility that we want in all of the other areas. So you're gonna ramp up that rails tissue contraction over 5, 10, 15 seconds to the desired amount, hold for that 10, 15 seconds, and ramp back down. And that would be one round of your PAILs rails with your stretch. You can either follow that up with more PAILs rails or additional exercises, but that would be at least completing one round. And that is going to be how you can start to build a little bit more mobility in spine extension in this position.